Hello, fellow Katara mains. Welcome back to entry number 2 of top secret tech that may or may not be patched out. It seems like you guys liked my first video, so I couldn't help but make another one. So this one is going to be a lot less on the side of crucial for optimizing this character, and more on the side of, that's really neat and good to know. And today we're going to talk about her stance and some of the crazy things you can do out of it that you're not supposed to, so don't tell anybody. Alright, so water whip stance, right? What can you do when you're stanced up? Well, most will say you can flow dash to move around, and then you have, of course, her whips. You have the mid, you have the low, and you have the high, and you have the EX overhead. Oh, and of course, you can cancel out of it by pressing flow. And that's everything, right? Nope, because what if I told you that you can cancel her stance into a bunch of stuff by Katara cancelling the startup frames of her whips? Let me show you. Okay, so now I'm in stance, and I'm going to do her low whip, this one, but instead of letting the whip come out, I'm going to buffer her EX wrecker behind it. So it looks like this. I cancelled the startup of her whip and substituted the action with a higher priority special. You can do the exact same thing with EX whip and quarter circle back, so you can do this. That's right, you can loop EX whip now. Not useful, but you can do it, and you'll look pretty cool doing it. You might be thinking, okay, cool, I guess, but what's the point? Can any of this be practical in any way? Well, actually, yes. I said you can Katara cancel the whips into higher priority specials. This includes supers. One of the obvious drawbacks with being in stance is your lack of defensive options. So there are specific ranges and opportunities where maybe going for super might be the play if you happen to be in stance. Like, what if you're at this really awkward range where you can't do an anti-air whip because it'll whiff, but you also can't flow forward and do this because it'll whiff and you'll be going somewhere else on the screen. Well, super could be a really niche option. Be careful though, she can be hit out of it. And this is probably character specific because a lot of characters have aerial flow options. But you know what she can't be hit out of? Her 7 chakra art. Imagine being in stance and your opponent flings something out, thinking you can't block, but then... And what if someone jumps in at just the right angle? Heavy whip might get beat out clean. But... So, okay, situational and resource intensive to say the least, but if you play Qatara, it's good to know. Except, you've seen the thumbnail, there's one more thing we have yet to discuss, and it is quite possibly the most jank and hilarious thing Katara can do. No, I did not mod the game, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. I just set up a barrier in neutral with Katara. Now, before you get too excited, this isn't like toss pillars or anything. I can blow straight through this, and Katara's not invincible or anything. Once you hit her out of stance, the barrier disappears. So, what is happening? How on earth does this work? Well, since we've been on the subject of Katara cancels, you can elaborately cancel the startup of her 236D with EX Whip. This hilariously keeps the ice barrier on screen, but Katara never actually performs the DP itself, so the animation never concludes since Katara technically isn't back to a neutral state. Yeah, if we turn on the hitboxes, you can see that the DP's anti-projectile hurtboxes stay on screen. However, as soon as you exit stance, it, of course, goes away. It sucks, right? This means that although you can do the same thing with other EX special moves, the ice barrier doesn't stay on screen because Katara immediately goes back to a neutral state. So I can do this, but as soon as I recover, it goes away, so it's effectively useless, right? Some of you astute viewers might also be wondering if some of the invincibility of the DP can carry over and essentially make her EX moves, or maybe her 3 chakra super, invincible. Even though the frame meter down below suggests that it does, it's not as useful as you think. You see, if you cancel out of the DP too quickly, the barrier itself will come out and you'll get 1 frame of invincibility. Of course, it costs 1 chakra point because I'm not committing to the DP. But if you delay it just slightly, you spend the chakra points for the EX special move along with the DP, but you get like 2 extra frames of invincibility. Now, is spending a minimum of 3 chakra points for 3 frames of invincibility useful? Well, turns out no. It can't even avoid tick throws, and buttons are too quick and active, and the game is too fast for anything viable to come out of this, but again, I'll let you decide. And no, you're not healing while the barrier is up either. Ugh, just imagine. Okay, so probably not the most practical thing in the world, but it exists, and now you know about it. Now go lab. Peace out.